voted in our 45th referendum, and it's clear, obviously, that the referendum has not been successful, and I think that's good for our country. I want to say a very special thank you tonight to Jacinta, to Warren Mundine, to Karen Little. No one is owed more gratitude than each of these individuals. They've led the no case, they've suffered through deeply personal and offensive attacks for it. I want to say thank you very much to David Littleproud and to all of my coalition colleagues. The No campaign was led by Fair Australia's Matt Sheehan and Steve Doyle and our volunteers. I want to thank them sincerely. Tonight, while the majority of Australians will be pleased with the outcome, there of course will be Australians who will be disappointed as well. But what matters tomorrow is that this result doesn't divide us as a people. What matters is that we all accept the result in this great spirit of our democracy. All of us know people who voted yes and people who voted no. But to those of you who voted yes, let me say these few words. As a leader of the coalition who has supported the No campaign, while I disagree with your position, I respect your decision to have voted yes. At all times in this debate, I've levelled my criticism at what I consider to have been a bad idea, to divide Australians based on their heritage or the time at which they came to our country. The coalition, like all Australians, wants to see Indigenous disadvantage addressed. We just disagree on the voice being the solution. And while yes and no voters may hold differences of opinion, these opinions of difference do not diminish our love for our country or our regard for each other. This is the referendum that Australia did not need to have. The proposal and the process should have been designed to unite Australians, not to divide us. And what we've seen tonight is Australians, literally in their millions, reject the Prime Minister's divisive referendum. The Prime Minister clearly was not across the detail, and he refused to explain or answer reasonable questions from Australians. I wrote to the Prime Minister in January of this year asking 15 basic questions, still no answers. So people from all sides of this debate are rightly and understandably disappointed with the Prime Minister. He's held the pen of this divisive chapter in our nation's history, and if he has any strength in his leadership, he must take responsibility for it. I also want to speak tonight specifically to Indigenous Australians. Like all Australians, some of you will have voted yes, and some of you will have voted no. Those of you who voted yes will be hurting. To Indigenous Australians contending with difficulty and disadvantage, I will do my utmost to lead with courage and to do what is right to implement the practical solutions required to improve outcomes and close the gap. So tonight I again commit the coalition to implementing a Royal Commission into child sexual abuse in Indigenous communities and an audit into spending on Indigenous programs so that we can get the money where it's needed to those families in regional and remote areas. As a leader of the opposition, I believe that we need to come together to tackle challenges, to help families struggling with the cost of living. That needs to be the Prime Minister's priority now. We need to give young Australians hope that they can buy their own home. We need to fix the mess of the energy policy so that we can deliver electricity that's affordable and reliable as well as clean. We need to support, not to oppose, our small businesses and boosting our national security to prepare Australia for a very uncertain world. Importantly, we must also redouble our efforts to improve outcomes for Indigenous Australians in those disadvantaged communities and to close the gap. That includes an urgent need to boost law and order, to increase school attendance and employment at many remote communities. And that means listening less to activists and more to people in those communities and those who champion them, including Senators Karen Little and Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price. They're amazing Australians. For the past year, the Prime Minister and the government's been consumed by this referendum, and they've focused on the wrong priorities. Now, as I say, we do need to turn the page, to unite and to address the many challenges facing our country. I want to thank all Australians who have participated in this debate. We are the greatest country in the world. We need to continue to make sure that that's the case, to never have complacency and to always stand up for our values and what we believe in and show the strength of character and leadership to deal with those threats that our country faces now and into the future. I'll ask Jacinta to say a few words and then we're very happy to take questions. Thank you.